just physical, mental, spiritual. Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. Another Monday night. Going to talk a little bit about fitness today. I've kind of had a lot of different subjects and things like that, and I was thinking the other day about my talking points today and just kind of where I am physically and what I want to do physically, and just kind of understanding what I've done. I would say ever since retiring, but actually I did a lot of physical stuff prior to retiring from the NFL. But in all honesty, there's a lot of people that would claim they're physically fit, and maybe they may not look physically fit. Maybe they may not, sound like they know what they're talking. Maybe they don't even work out very much, but they think they say they're physically fit. But the thing is, there's a lot of key opponents to being physically fit, and I can name some things off, but I'm going to pull up Chat GPT right now and kind of give you an idea what GPT gives you as far as the some key components to being physically fit. They talk about the cardiorespiratory endurance. They talk about muscle strength. They talk about muscular endurance. They talk about flexibility and also body composition. So there's a lot of things that that are involved with being physically fit. And I hope people who want to be physically fit actually play the part. They look physically fit. They actually they're doing the things that make them physically fit. They're encouraging others to be physically fit. So I really want to make sure that people really understand what it means to be physically fit. And that's what you always you could look at some nutritionists and things like that, people who say they're physically fit, and you can clearly see that they're not. But yeah, again, it's judgment. I don't want to be judgmental on anybody, but I want to really make sure that people understand that there's a deeper meaning to being physically fit, and it's not just because you say you're physically fit. You might be in a physical, in a fitness industry where you're kind of around a lot of physically fit people, but in all reality, it's how you feel. You want to make sure that you're feeling good, feeling physically fit. And so we're going to talk about that, but real quick, a word from our sponsor, and we're going to talk a little bit about the definition of being physically fit, a little bit more detail about that, but also just my experience on being physically fit and what it takes to do so. So without more, we'll take a word from our sponsor real quick. I've got a dog that's kind of whining over there, and I want to make sure I'm taking care of him. Okay, I'm sorry. Here's a word from our sponsor.
At 3, we want to give you the true health benefits that you're paying for, something you can feel and see a difference quickly. Each product is packed with powerful plant-based nutrients that are combined through a proprietary curation process and then infused with innovative cellular absorption technologies to ensure the nutrients absorb into the cells for maximum wellness. The quality and effectiveness of our life-changing products is evident by their approval to be included in the well-known Prescriber's Digital Reference, or PDR. PDR has been a valuable resource to the medical doctors and providers in the healthcare community for decades. Our products are GMO-free, clinically studied, and third-party tested, all designed to support health and proactive wellness for everyone.
Now, welcome back. I wanted to really jump right into the definition that ChatGPT gives us on being physically fit. So being physically fit means having the ability to perform daily tasks, work, and recreational activities without undue fatigue and still have enough energy left for emergencies or unexpected demands. In simpler terms, it's about your body working efficiently, strong, flexible, and enduring and healthy enough to handle life's physical challenges. To me, that kind of defines what I talked about a second ago, is the fact that people say they're physically fit, which it kind of, in a sense falls under that category and that definition. I want to look a little bit further. I don't want to be just, I want to be physically fit enough where I can have some emergency energy if I need some in unexpected circumstances where I need to have energy. Man, I want to have energy all day long for anything, anytime. And that's where I think that the people kind of get a little bit misguided when they talk about physical fitness and what it takes to be at the level I'm referring to. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with the levels that the Chat GPT is kind of more or less giving as far as the definition of being physically fit, because it means you're doing something. There's a heck of a lot more people out there, that aren't physically fit in a sense where they're not working out or not doing anything to be physically fit. I think it's just a really a big deal when it comes to how you believe physically fit really means to you or what it means to you. And I'm telling you that obviously there's some extreme physically fit people that go way above and beyond what that definition really said. But there's also people that kind of go below that, or maybe work out a few times. How many times you've gone to the gym and seen people? And I believe me, I've got friends that really make fun of other friends, and it's a fun chatty group type of thing. And we make fun of guys, friends of ours that go to the gym and don't really do much. They go in the sauna and they might go for a little swim, or they might lift a little weights or do some cable work here and there. And meanwhile, they're either looking at their phone or they're reading the newspaper, whatever the case may be. You've seen people, you see people getting upset because people are sitting on the bench or sitting on a machine that others want to use, but they're reading their phone or doing something, right? Well, those people say they go to the gym and everything, and those are the kind of people I keep referring to. Is like you run across people that, say that they're physically fit and they're into nutrition, and they kind of talk the talk, but they don't necessarily walk the walk. And I don't know how good those people feel. They might feel great. They might have a great diet. They might actually feel good as far as their diet is concerned. But as far as being physically fit by doing those things I just mentioned, or lack thereof, as far as not working out, but present in the gym, there's a commitment to get to the gym, but there's also a commitment to do something at the gym. Okay, so there's a reason why you're there. There's a reason why you're paying, your membership fees. It does sometimes become a social event because, heck, I go to 2 gyms. I do title boxing. I've been doing that for like 14 years now. And then I also do F45. And I'm telling you, I've gotten a lot of different new friends from both gyms, and we have a good time. But we're doing a lot of work. We're sweating. We're making fun of each other for lifting different, weird stuff or whatever. It was funny this morning. We had a guy doing some sit-ups during the rest period, and we all look at each other like, "Wait a minute, we're slacking. We got to keep up with him." So it's one of those things. But again, brings me to another point. When you have accountability and you have your friends and you have people you share the same interests, and even though one doesn't want to go one day or whatever the case may be, you can talk to them and say, "Listen, hey, you made a commitment to us. I'm holding you accountable to meet me at the gym today, even though I know you don't feel great, but let's get in there and let's sweat it out," right? So having accountability partners, having people that are on your side that share the same dreams and goals that you do as far as your fitness and your nutrition is very, very, very important, because they keep you accountable as well. And you know as well as I do, being fit, eating healthy, having good sleep at night is a very difficult thing for a lot of people to do. At times, because again, it's that lifestyle that we've the sedentary lifestyle that we've kind of learned to, kind of get involved in. Excuse me one second. Hey, Dawson. Hey, buddy. I am so sorry. My dog is over there whining, and I don't have anybody at the house to take care of him. It's really a matter of understanding where you want to be in your life. If you want to feel pain-free and you want to feel energetic and you want to feel, optimistic and happy and energetic and all that good stuff on an everyday basis, you really have to make sure that you're working for that. And again, I have found, I've in previous episodes, I've talked about my yo-yos. I've gone up and down. I took some time off because of my back and the way it felt at times. And I've really made sure that I've learned from those. Like, okay, I'm going to go back and work out again. And now my back felt better eventually, not at first. But that's really the hump that a lot of people don't really quite get to before they realize that the working out and the fitness and the nutrition, the diet, whatever it was that they've made a change, major change maybe, in their lives, they got to make sure that they're able to maintain that. So with that said, I want people to understand that it's a matter of learning about yourself, learning what works for you, finding the right sources. That's a key. That's a huge deal, because finding the right sources, the quality nutrition, the supplements, the peptides, the things like that actually work for you. That's sometimes a struggle for a lot of people, especially with all the varieties of options we have in the today's society. There's a lot of companies that are in it for money. They market really well, but are the products really that good? Probably not. I mean, more times than not, I have found personally that their products really don't stand up to their standards based on what they're advertising and so forth. And so there's a very fine line between finding things that work for you, whether it's nutrition or fitness or whatever the case may be. Because here's the thing with fitness too, is the fact that I, as having 4 back surgeries, I really want to make sure that I was doing the right things for my back, because I can't go to extremes. I'm not going to, CrossFit came out. I'm like, I'm not going to do that because they're flipping tires or doing all kinds of crazy things that I probably wouldn't be able to do. So with that said, I want to make sure that I'm doing the right things that's not going to injure me, first off, but also do things that's going to benefit my body. And there's programs out there. There's all kinds of things. I talked about Premier Life. The thing that's special about Premier Life and Wellness is the fact that what we do is we do blood work. And so we're doing this blood work on your own specific blood to determine what, we analyze, of course, determine what your body is deficient in. And so we prescribe or recommend certain items, whether they're peptides or vitamins, things like that, that will help you achieve the goals that you're looking for. Semaglutides, all those kind of things that we have access to. So again, it's an experimental phase at times, but again, you have to know what's out there, what's available. Do some research on what it is that you think works for you. What may not work for you. There's a lot of fads, and I'm gonna speaking of the semaglutides, I'll talk about, which I did I think last week, maybe the week before, but this Ozempic, man, stay away from Ozempic. You think it's a semaglutide, but they've got other stuff in that specific drug. It's literally killing people. It's hurting people. They're going blind. Their teeth are going bad. Basically what's happening is the food, it kind of paralyzes your digestive system. So your food, instead of being digested like a normal body would, your food is staying in your stomach and kind of more or less kind of rotting. And so you're getting backed up, all kinds of stuff. So you're not regular, we'll say. So again, pick your poison. I say that with a little bit of a pun because I've been hearing that there's kind of a poison, a non-natural thing that's in this Ozempic that's really causing a lot of problems with people. And so with that said, you have to understand what kind of things are out there that aren't going to hurt you. So with regards to just finding that nutrition, finding the diet, finding the exercises and the things, the sleep patterns, if you've got any sleep issues, make sure you're checking on those. If you have sleep apnea, which I think I do. Actually, matter of fact, I got this thing from the NFL right now, sitting right here on my desk that I need to put on my finger. It's like a sleep sort of monitor. And I want to see, because I've been told that I stop breathing at night sometimes. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. I don't want that to happen. But with regards to, there's all kinds of things that affect your life in your natural status as a human being. Affects your health, lack of sleep, poor nutrition, lack of exercise, daily stress. That's a huge deal too. Those things, there's 4 major ones that I can think of at this time, but there's a lot of things that really affect your pollution outside, whether you're out in the sun or not. That's another big one that I'm finding out. I'm learning more. I think ever since COVID, there's been a lot of open pages. I think people are having a lot more open-minded sense to actually look at things in a way that I'm not really sure if I trust the things that I'm seeing in the media and all, again, you can turn the TV on and every other commercial is a pharmaceutical commercial. Why do you have to have pharmaceutical commercials? Why do we have to rely on branding pharmacies, pharmaceutical products? Why do we have to sell? Why do we have to convince people that Ozempic is great? Well, you go to your doctor, say, what do I need to lose weight? Well, if he says Ozempic, he's probably getting a good cut on it. And so, yeah, there's another thing too. There's the money. It's driven by money. You can do all kinds of research you want. Pfizer's been around for 170 years. How many diseases have they cured? 0. Not one disease. All they've done is just put Band-Aids on things. In my opinion, of course, yes, there might be some drugs that really help people. I get that. I understand that. But there's always going to be side effects, and they're going to keep you on that money train. Is what they're going to do. And so again, my healthcare, I'm telling you from personal experience, I'm not advising you to do this, My healthcare is my nutrition and my fitness. I'm paying for, somewhat clean diet. I need to get better at it. Again, I'm human. I'm human as well. I have a sweet tooth, especially this time of the year, because I've got some candy right behind me from Halloween that the kids didn't take enough of, and I'm kind of picking on the leftovers. And so if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, but I put it in sight like a dummy sometimes. But we all have, our little sweet tooths, our little quirks, things like that. But still, you got to be conscious of what it's doing, and don't be naive to think that, oh, this candy bar is not going to hurt me, and this bowl of ice cream is not going to hurt me, because the next day you might feel different. If you have any issues with dairy products, things like that, you might discover like, my stomach hurts when I eat ice cream, and people actually develop these things later on in life. But my point is really that we want to make sure that we're conscious about these kind of things and being very disciplined. That's another huge one I want to point out. Being physically fit, you can ask anybody who's got a chiseled body, like, hey, is that easy? That'd be so easy for you to do. And they're like, no, I am very disciplined with my diet. I'm very disciplined with my fitness, my workouts, my sleep. I try to maintain my stress levels. I try to be, optimistic and happy and things like that. And I'm telling you, that's a big, big deal. So there's a lot of people out there that find themselves in kind of a revolving downward spiral. Okay. And what I mean by that, and I did too, you feel like with my back, my explanation is really, when I felt like my back was kind of hurting after, whatever. And or when I retired, I didn't want to work out because I've been in the weight room a million times, prior to that point. I'm like, the last thing I want to do is go work out because I just retired. I want to take some time off. Well, guess what? My back started hurting. So you kind of learn. And again, I didn't use it the right way. I eventually figured out that I need to go work out, get over the hump. And then, I did it again. And I'm like, yeah, that's obvious now. When you do it a couple of times, you see the same results by being lazy and noticing my back hurts. I'm like, wow, I'd eat better and work out. And it eventually starts to feel better after a while. And so really where we get in trouble is we find a very comfortable, we'll say a lifestyle, because when you get, maybe you get busy at work, and maybe your time is being consumed by your job, which again is kind of stressful, I would assume, when people don't have time for their families or even just to eat properly or even work out. You've got this job that's maintaining, most of your time, or taking away really most of your time per day. You don't have the time to meal prep. You don't have time to eat healthy. You go to, on your lunch break, you go to the closest restaurant available, or a fast food place, even worse, And then, of course, working out, forget it. You don't have time. You got an 8-hour job, 8 hours a day you're at work. You have no time to work out. Now, there are some people that do, find the time in the morning. But again, if you're not one of those morning people and don't want to wake up at 5 or 6 in the morning to work out before your 8 o'clock job starts, it's going to be tough for you. And so there's a lifestyle issue. There's all kinds of ways. But what is the most important to you? Yes, I understand finances are incredibly important in this day and age. A lot of people struggling financially. And so there's that. There's a very important, aspect of that. So that kind of takes the precedence over, the concept of being healthy or trying to be healthy. And you can do little bits and pieces here and there, but when you fully commit into being fitness and to being fit and commit to a fitness regimen and a diet regimen, that is one of the things you're going to notice the biggest difference in your life. Once you start and you be disciplined about it, and you keep on that same design as far as your goal, what maybe you've got a personal trainer that designed this activity sheet for you, as far as the workouts, as far as your diet, things like that, as far as a daily routine. Once you start getting into that, at first you might not find that it's really hard to do. I'm really struggling with this. But I tell you, once you understand and commit to it, and then even more important, which I've said in previous episodes, when you get over that hump, you will notice that, man, this isn't that hard. I told you guys a long time ago, when I first started doing title boxing, I was afraid. I was scared. I did a couple classes and I'm like, dude, I don't think I can do this. And of course, I was really out of shape at that point when I first started boxing. And I'm like, man, I was struggling to turn into the parking lot to go work out. I'm like, my head's down. I'm sitting in my car. I'm like looking at the time thinking, gosh, do I want to go in here? And of course, I'm a disciplined person. So once I commit to doing something, I'm going to do it. I'm thinking it's going to suck. And after, maybe the first couple rounds of the class, I'm like, oh, this is bad. Next thing you know, I'm like, okay, I'm pacing myself. Okay, I'm getting a little sweat going on. I actually don't feel too bad. So just getting to the gym is half the battle. But obviously, I mentioned before, there's people that get to the gym and don't do anything. So you really want to make sure that you're doing something. Take advantage of the time you're at the gym to make yourself better as far as your physical fitness and all that. And then the nutrition side is another battle, and that has I personally believe that the nutrition side is really a twofold. It's really your eating habits and what you like to eat versus your time and how much time, and maybe you might be lazy and you don't want to cook or whatever the case may be. There's a couple different ways that people will eat poorly. And I feel it's horrible to even think that our government and our food sources have become so malnutritious. We're eating so much processed foods. It's crazy to think, how much our society in the United States of America in general, we are the sickest and most unhealthy country in the world. And yet our food sources and our craft is billionaires. They've made so much money off of us, selling us a bunch of empty calories, essentially. Okay. And so you have to really understand what it is you're putting in your body, because your body is your vessel. Okay. The number one thing, the most important thing in your life, I believe, in my opinion, should be your body and taking care of your body. Because if you don't, your health is everything. If you don't take care of your body, where are you going to be? If you're not 6 feet under the ground, there's no point in living life if you're going to be incredibly again, I don't want to sound like a deadbeat here and say that anybody's out of shape needs to, that's not what I'm saying. It's just like you're not going to really enjoy the quality of your life. And again, I believe clearly with my whole heart, my God-given abilities and my mindset, and what I believe is that we are very precious. We are the odds of us being alive is in the 1 in trillions sort of aspect ratio, because there is that concept of how just precious life is. Not really a concept, it's a truth. We are so fortunate to be on this planet and to live and experience the things that we do. That's what God intended. Okay. And God, intended you to live your life the way you want, the way He wants you to live it, to experience those kind of things. And in your body being the temple of life, you got to take care of your body in order to have and experience these things that God intended. So it's a very difficult thing for a lot of people to get to a point where they're really interested in changing their life because of that complacency, that comfortability, that the mindset of them just like, man, I'm doing okay. I feel maybe, I'm just getting old. Oh, have I heard that one a million times? I've met people that were 10 years younger than me telling me, I'm just getting old, man. My eyesight, this and that. I'm like, and of course they're, maybe a little bit out of shape or whatever. And it's just I'm just chalking up to old age, man. It's old. I'm like, man, I would not want that mentality whatsoever, because I want to live to be over 100 years old. I want to experience this life as long as I possibly can. And that's why I'm here talking to you guys and sharing my personal experiences. Now, again, I'm telling you, I'm not a professional at all this. I just want to share my personal experiences, what's really worked for me, in a sense where I've been able to take advantage of opportunities and stay committed to them, of course. That's half the battle as well. You can be introduced to things and not commit to those. But because sports has been a part of my life, literally all my life, and fitness obviously was part of sports, so I've just kind of been morphed into this. My family, I can tell you right now, there's no athletes in my family. There never really was. Maybe some high school track and things like that, but nobody else other than myself and my immediate family, and even my step family. My mom and dad were divorced, and so I've got a step family as well. But none of them really did much athletically, and I'm like, I'm not anything special. Clearly, I tell you, like, my size is like I played 9 years in the NFL, and I never should have. But I had a great opportunity to learn a certain technique and get good at it, and that wasn't because of my athletic ability. It wasn't because of my big, strong, freakishly athletic body that got me there. It was the technique. Yeah, I worked out and worked hard to do some of those things, but the technique was really what got me there. And so that was my road to success, was the technique that I trusted and followed. And it's the same thing with this, the same thing in life with anything you're doing in life. If you find a process that you trust and you know that works, whether it's fitness, whether it's nutrition, whether it's all of it, follow it and stay with it and commit to it. That's my point. Commit to be fit is actually it's a business concept. My water guy, Tony has my hydrosonic water guy. It's on zealouswellness.com. You can find some information about that as well. He's trying to get in production, looking for investors. So if anybody's interested in an awesome investment opportunity, I highly recommend that, because I've been drinking his water for the last 6-7 years. I won't drink any other water. This water is incredible. It's not pH balance. It's not all that junk that pH balance doesn't even last. You're looking at your water on the shelves. I know I'm going on a little tangent here, but you see the pH, 6+ pH balance. Man, that ain't pH balance. That's not there. The alkalinity is not there anymore, because the longer it sits, the more it decreases. Okay, so Tony has developed a water that doesn't have that issue, because it's not about being high pH. Okay, it alkaline. It has to do with just the natural form of water, the way water was meant to be naturally. The most purest form of water is what he actually develops, and I absolutely love it. So on the whole note about this episode, really what we're talking about is being physically fit, knowing what physically fit really means, and challenge yourself. And that's where I'm saying, where people, they could say they'd be physically fit, but in the definition might seem, based on this definition, I'm physically fit. And meanwhile, you look at them and they're really not. And so, and you have to be honest with yourself. How do you feel? If you go by that definition of being physically fit, let me ask you this. How do you feel? Do you feel just amazing? And maybe they're in their 40s or 50s, and more likely to say, I feel okay. I got some aches and pains and some health issues. Maybe they're on some, another thing, maybe they're on some pharmaceuticals or something that's probably dragging them down, right? So I am drug-free with regards to all that kind of stuff. I don't take anything. When I'm filling out, I tell you what, when I'm filling out my chart at anywhere I go, whether it's any sort of clinical thing or any sort of, I did that thing the other day. It was the quantum nutrition testing. There was a questionnaire that had everything on it, and yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. And I'm taking no all the way down, because I'm reading these things like, I have none of that. Do you take any of this? No, there was nothing on there that was like any concern, except for I had to tell them my back surgeries and things like that. But I don't take any pharmaceutical junk. Not that I want to call it junk. I know it's not great for me, and I don't have any issues that require any pharmaceutical stuff. I eat somewhat healthy. I do exercise a lot. I think that's a huge deal. I sleep like a rock, as far as I know. I'll let you guys know in a couple of weeks when I get the results back from this thing. But with regards to just being overall general health, being healthy, being active, understanding what it feels like to really enjoy your life in a way that you were meant to be. You were meant to have this life and enjoy this life, pain-free. Yes, we all going to have pain here and there, but for the most part, your health is everything. So your body is your temple. You need to take care of it. Okay. And if you're not going to take care of your body, you're going to be in a situation where later on in life, your health care is going to cost you a heck of a lot more than what you're paying right now for nutrition and a gym membership. Okay. I can promise you. Now, everyone's different. I should take that back. I can't promise you all that, but everyone's different with health and things like that. We maybe genetically have some issues going on. So that's why I say I can't promise you all that, but just based on what I feel, I just know based on my personal experiences and what I feel like, and when I work out and I do good things happen. And I feel good all the time because of my lifestyle. And I've made it my daily lifestyle. I don't know if I'll ever stop working out. I really don't, because I enjoy it. I love working out. I love the feel. I love everything about it. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoy your Monday evening. Watch some football. Real quick, I should have started out with this, but my Jaguars, my gosh, there's a lot of upset people here in Jacksonville because we lost to the Texans in the last 12 minutes of the game, when we got outscored 19-0 in the last 12 minutes of the fourth quarter and eventually lost the game by 1 point. Unbelievable. I'm still upset with that, and there's a lot of people here locally in Jacksonville that aren't very happy with it either. But, such is life. There's always ups and downs, and We just got to learn from our mistakes and get over it and move forward, move on. Okay, so watch some football tonight. Enjoy your Monday night evening. I'm going to go coach. I got some coaching to do, so I'm going to make kickers great again. Take care. Have a good night. And with that said, we'll see you guys next Monday night on another episode of Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. Take care. Good night.
Thank you for watching Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you next time.